Yeah, that's it.
that heals me. Got to see that's how I dream to be.
I dream I move,
I move.
I dream I groove. Like Mike, if I could be like Mike. I wanna be like Mike. Like Mike, if I could be like Mike.
Be like Mike.
Oh,
Be like Mike.
yeah, I try. Just need to fly.
Just one day if I could be that way. I dream I move.
Dream I groove. Like Mike, if I could be like Mike. I wanna be like Mike. Like Mike, if I could be like Mike. Oh, be like Mike. Like Mike, if I could be like Mike.
Amen. This is serious business. This is serious business. So some of these young children, my son said, "Dad, what in the world was that?" He said, "They made Gatorade in glass bottles?" And then he showed me this. So maybe you're more familiar with this version. This is the version my son showed me.
Sometimes I dream that heals me. Got to see that's how I dream to be.
I dream I move,
I move.
I dream I groove. Like Mike, if I could be like Mike. I wanna be like Mike. Like Mike, if I could be like Mike.
Be like Mike.
Oh,
Be like Mike.
yeah, I try. Just need to fly.
Just one day if I could be that way. I dream I move.
Dream I groove. Like Mike, if I could be like Mike. I wanna be like Mike. Like Mike, if I could be like Mike. Oh, be like Mike. Like Mike, if I could be like Mike.
All right. So now, Brother Jeff, you can turn our lights on now. So how many of you, when you were younger, there it is, Kev. They tell me church is a pretty good place to start being honest. How many of you, when you were younger, Brissette, just stand up, were like me and you wanted to be like Mike? Dude, stand up. Just stand up really quick. If when you were younger, just be honest. Come on. Be honest. This is a good place to be honest. Brother Charlie, come on. Listen. We're in good company, right? I would walk through the hallways. Brother Delvin, don't try to trick us, right? So I would walk through the hallways and we would be humming and we would be singing, I wanna be like, right? That's what motivated me. And so I want to use that for a thought for the next 15 minutes. I want to use this phrase for a thought. I want to be ... I want to use for a thought this statement. I want to be ... Can you say that with me? I want to be ... Those dots are important. We'll get to it in a minute. This is going to make sense in just a minute. Our text for today is coming from the Gospel according to Matthew, the 20th chapter. We'll be picking it up at the 20th verse. The Gospel according to Matthew, chapter 20, beginning at the 20th verse. The New International Version is the version we'll be reading from, and these words were left on record. Then the mother of Zebedee's sons came to Jesus along with her sons, and upon kneeling down, she asked a favor of him. What is it that you want? Jesus asked. She said, grant that one of these two sons of mine may sit at your right and the other at your left in your kingdom. Verse 22, Jesus says, you don't know what you're asking. Can you drink the cup I'm going to drink? Their response with confidence, we can. 23. Jesus says, all right, you will indeed drink from my cup, but to sit at my right or left is not for me to grant. 24. These places belong to those for whom they have been prepared by my Father. When the 10 heard about this, they were indignant with the two brothers. Jesus called them together and he said, listen and listen carefully. You know that the rulers of the Gentiles, they lord it over them. And their high officials, they exercise authority over them. But not with you, not with me, not with us. But instead, whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant. I want to be ... So let me give you some context. Let me give you some context to this sermon. So Jesus, just one verse prior to this conversation with the mother and her two sons, Jesus takes the 12 disciples to the side and he tells them this, Brother Chuck. He tells them, I'm getting ready to die. And I'm going to die at the hands of the religious folk. They're going to condemn me. They're going to turn me over to the public to be mocked, to be beaten, and then to be crucified. This is what's about to happen to me, Kyle, Jesus says. Can you imagine hearing that, Sister Shantae? But just so that they wouldn't lose hope, Cairo, Jesus reminds them that after 3 days, he'll be raised from the dead. And that, brothers and sisters, is some pretty good news. So Jesus just has this conversation with the 12 disciples. This is the context. Then the mother of these two boys shows up. And I don't think that she was reading the room very well. I don't think that she was being mindful of the situation. People can be like that, you know. People can do that. So she shows up, and the reason I believe this is because she shows up and check out the first words out of her mouth. She didn't ask, hey, Jesus, how are you feeling seeing that you're heading to die for sins that you never committed? No, she doesn't say, Jesus, how are you? How is your spirit as you head into one of the most trying times in your earthly ministry? Nope. She doesn't ask those questions. Instead, she says, when you go, I'm going to need a favor. When you go, I'm going to need a favor. Talk about being completely unaware. Or possibly she was very aware. Can you tell somebody it's just good to read the room? And one of you are saying, or at least two of you are saying, two of my good friends from our past ministry, you're saying, so Evangelist Jay, you're going to just keep on preaching and pretending that the whole back wall ain't missing and tore apart. You're telling us to read the room, but you're just going to keep pretending like the whole back wall ain't just tore apart. Somebody shout, read the room. Read the room. So if you want to know what happened back there, just stick around. 12, 14 more minutes. Amen? Let's examine this text a little bit closer because I found some very interesting truths within this text. I found some very interesting things within this text that might actually enrich our lives. Is that all right? Let's examine the text a little closer. Verse 20 and 21 for our reading. Verse 20, New International Version again, just for your reading. It says, then the mother of Zebedee's sons, it's assumed that her name was Salome. She came to Jesus with her sons, and kneeling down, she asked a favor of him. What is it that you want? Jesus asked, and she said these words. She said this, according to Matthew's account. I want that you to grant one of these my two sons that they can sit on your right and the other one to sit on the left in your kingdom. Now I want us to pause right here because this process and this thought process of Salome's is not a new thought process. In my profession, I've seen some families ask some pretty wild requests at funerals. I've actually seen people make some pretty wild requests even before the funeral. And people seem to go to these extremes simply because they want what they want. They're most concerned about their own wants. Let me explain. They go to these spaces and they have these conversations even before our loved ones are gone because I want to be the executor of the estate. They go to these wild places because I want to have her car. I want to have his house. I want his trailer. I want to be the beneficiary. Can somebody just say, I want to be ... Now, I don't know about you, but if this were me, I would personally just be happy making it to glory. Maybe I'm in the wrong church or preaching to the wrong side. If this was just me, I wouldn't be concerned about where I sit. If I could just make it to be where Jesus is for eternity, I will be glad. End of conversation. And if my family makes it with me, yeah, my goodness, I'm just going to end the conversation. That's it. But if I could go back in time, and we're talking about enriching our lives, if I could go back in time, I would just tell Salome, I would say, listen, Jesus is just as pleased with the reasonable as he is with the remarkable. You remember that? Remember our reasonable service? He's just as pleased with the reasonable as he is with the remarkable. And so look at, any parents in the house? Parents, I just want to see if we can have our lives enriched. As a parent, I'm a parent, my wife and I are parents too. I believe that most of us want our children to do great things, right? We want them to one day, Brother Robbie, become great people. We want them to sit at the table with kings. And so here Salome wanted her sons to sit on the right hand and the left hand of the King of Kings. I don't personally think that this is a bad desire. But Sister Nikki, if I could go back and pause this conversation before we ever made it into the next verse, I would stop it right here. And I would whisper to these young fellas, James and John, I would say, come here, guys. I said, come here. Let me whisper something in your ear. If your mom has to ask for you, I believe your chances for greatly diminish. No, listen. Don't be listening to my conversation with these guys. I will just whisper this to these guys. I'm just whispering it to these guys. Listen, guys, if your mom has to ask for you, I believe your chances for greatness greatly diminish. I mean, if you're old enough to work full-time as fishermen and you're old enough to leave home and follow the rabbi, but mommy still has to call in sick for you. I just want to enrich somebody's life. I'm just saying. You might want to watch out if mommy is the one that's chasing greatness for you. I'm just saying. I love my children. I love each and every single one of them. And Zaria's, I'm sure, watching from Poughkeepsie today. And yes, I certainly want what's best for them. But Sister Courtney, I'm certainly also not afraid to tell them that what's best for them is not what I just seen come from them. Oh, somebody said, whoa, we were just stopping here to visit. So the difference between Salome and the Shazers is that though I want what's best, I'm not afraid to tell them that what I just saw on display might have been the worst. Maybe this just help enrich our lives some. That even though I want what's best, I'm not afraid to tell them that what I saw on display might have just been the worst. Remember, our goal is to stay right about here. So here we go. We're going to finish this thing off. So Jesus tries to politely give the entire family a way out. He tries to give the entire family a way out so that he doesn't have to be their worst critic like I am towards my children. Right? He tries to give them a way out. He attempts to give them the option to just play their role. He gives them the option to just be their piece of the puzzle, to just simply do the job that they've been uniquely created to do. But no, they don't want to accept it. Instead, they want to be in the greatest seat. They want to be the most important. Can you tell somebody again, I want to be ... So here, 22, we're going to walk through this. 22, Jesus says, you don't know what you're asking. Can you drink the cup I'm going to drink? And confidently they answered, we can. They're missing something. So Jesus goes on to say, you know what? You actually will indeed drink from my cup in verse 23. But to sit at my right or left is not for me to grant. This was powerful to me. These places, he said, belong to those for whom they have been prepared for by my Father. So Jesus is essentially saying this. We're going to walk out of here. He's saying, okay, you know what? You're right. You will actually drink from the cup of my suffering. Brothers and sisters, he was right. We will actually drink from his cup of suffering. He was right that Logan, you certainly will be baptized into his death. But Jesus says this seat, my seat, the one next to my Father, oh, these seats aren't just for anybody. This is somebody's word for this morning. Somebody's got to catch this. He said, these seats, Brother Ken, these seats aren't just for anybody. This seat is actually going to cost me something, Jesus said. And because it costs me something, I can't just give you access to it. Somebody's got to catch this. This is somebody's word in the house this morning. I believe this word is for you. You can't just keep giving people access to you. You cannot just keep giving people access to you. They need to know that a seat next to you is going to cost them something. Oh, somebody's got to be listening. Sid, I hope you're paying attention to me. Relationships do not come easily or freely. Oh, y'all don't want to hear me. Jesus is saying to them, essentially, fellas, I cannot just place you here. Because I've come to notice that even though people want all the glory that you possess, they don't want it to cost them a single solitary dime. Oh man, you guys don't want me. I'm going to be done in a minute. We got stuff to do. You know that one song, I want to be next to you. I'm sure you do want to be next to me. The problem is you don't know that this thing cost me something. Oh, brother, dude, listen to this, man. I was messing around with Bishop Jakes this past week, and he was just sharing with me and pouring into me and got me excited, and I started to get back into this word, and he was sharing this. He says, I believe that so many people underestimate the cost. They underestimate the cost of being in a relationship. They underestimate the cost of you walking uniquely, Kaylin, in your shape. They underestimate the cost. You know what? Ultimately, what we're trying to say is that people trying to catch their seat on sale. People are underestimating your value and your worth, Chuck, so they just want to see if they can catch a seat next to you on sale. They want something for nothing. Can you just whisper to yourself, this seat ain't free? Look. Even though I know you want to be ... this seat ain't free. Look. What I found powerful about this, we're getting out of here, 6 minutes. What I found powerful about this is that mom was coming and she was doing a great job as a mother and she was asking, but Sister Nikki, Pastor Parks, this is the stuff that shakes me up. She asked if these brothers could have a seat in the kingdom. These brothers want to sit in the kingdom instead of serve in the kingdom. I got some more folks here. I want to be ... I want to be sitting in the kingdom instead of serving in the kingdom. Yeah, this is a new church plant. We're looking for help. Yeah, you thought you was coming to a 150-year-old church and it was all already set. Wrong spot. We got work to do. We're planted in a city where people are overdosing and shooting and acting a fool, and we carry the answer, and his name is Jesus. And so I'm not asking or looking for anybody to come sit around here. We're actually getting ready to move these seats, ain't we, Parks? We don't want nobody to sit. We're looking for people to serve. And your unique grace with your unique gift. So watch this, watch this, watch this. I'm getting out of here. I'm getting excited, though, but I got to get out of here. Watch how Jesus closes out this 23rd verse. Watch this B clause. I thought this was so powerful. Jesus says, I can't just give you this seat because these places belong to those for whom they have been prepared by my Father. Watch this. Look, it's in the text. He says, these places belong to those for whom they have been prepared by my Father. Look, these places, these seats, this role, Jesus says, this shape, this position, this title has already been given to those whom my Father pre-selected. Oh, it's finna get real here, Brother Larry. So the Father has already pre-selected who sits in these seats, but these guys felt like they should get to choose their piece of the puzzle. They wanted to choose and create their own shape. So back to this phrase as we close out of here. I want to be. So I don't know how many English majors we have in here, but usually these dots, I believe, leave us room to fill in some stuff. Yes? The dots usually draw us into the fact that there's a little bit more to the conversation and you can fill it in. But Jesus said it's actually for those whom it has been prepared for by my Father. So even though I want to be ... Jesus says that these seats are actually for those who they were already prepared for. So I have a question, and I'm walking out of here. Many of us have heard it said this. You can literally be whatever you want to be, right? We've heard motivational speakers say that. We've tried to inspire people. I've inspired and encouraged people to say you can be whatever you want to be. But can you really do whatever you want to do in life? Well, Logan says only if you want to. I want you guys to really think about this because when the question was posed, it stopped me for about a week and a half. Can you really do whatever you want to do in life if God has already gifted you to do what he wants you to do in life? Listen to me, listen. Do you really get to be whatever you want, even though he's shaped you to be exactly how he wants? I'm going to ask that again because somebody's like, just get through this because this thing is starting to really shake up my spirit. Do you really get to be whatever you want, even though he shaped you to be exactly how he wants? So, this jersey. When I was younger, I, like most of my classmates, wanted to be like Mike. But he shaped me to be like Juhura the evangelist. I wanted to be like Mike, right? I had these dreams. We all had these dreams. I was going to go Division I. I was going to sign a contract. I was going to make it out of the hood. I was going to be like Mike. Except he shaped me to be like Juhura. Can you really be whatever you want when God has actually shaped you to be how he wants? I'm not up here to answer that question for you. But behind me, you'll see that there was an instrument, an organ that really wanted to be what it desired to be. But God had another plan. And just like Jesus, the organ said, I'll be second. His will is to be first. So I asked this question, is this actually a space for an organ chamber with no one around to play it? Is this supposed to be a space to remain a fixture that separates here from there? Or is this space actually called, Pastor Parks, to be a gateway, a real live connector from this fellowship to the fellowship on the other side? Somebody ought to be excited because I believe that you're going to find your shape this year. Somebody here ought to be excited because I believe the people from your past should start getting scared right now because I believe by faith that you are going to find your shape this year. I believe that somebody ought to be getting kind of excited in their spirit because this year you got permission to stop doing what you want and begin doing what God created you for. I want to be. Can somebody be bold enough to fill in those dots and say, I want to be what God created me to be? Oh, this is going to be a wrestling match for somebody. When you start talking about purpose, oh, you get on people's nerves because what God created me to be might not pay as much as I wanted. So I talk to people all the time, Sister Nita, and I tell them, well, I just so happen to get paid better after my job is over. Somebody will catch that later, right? You'll get that later. So as we get ready to close out here, I'm just glad for our sake that Jesus get to choose what he wanted. I'm glad that when it was time to drink from the cup, Jesus said, not my will, Father, but yours be done. I'm glad that he didn't put his desires over that of his Father's. I ask you for the last time, can you be what you want, even though the Father shaped you to be what he wants? And what do you choose? What do you choose? What do you choose? He's so kind and he's so loving that he allows us to choose. That we can be like some of the national statistics that I think it's crazy, like 80%, they say 80% of people go to their careers and they feel unfulfilled. 80% of people go to their jobs, go to their workplaces and feel completely unfulfilled. So do you get to be what you want to be even though the Father shaped you to be what he wants you to be? Is anybody in the house with me just glad that Jesus didn't choose what he wanted, but instead he chose to die for your sins and for mine? He chose to go up on that old rugged cross. He chose to die a sinner's death even though he didn't do any sin. He chose to give everything up for you and I. He chose to do the remarkable so that we could do the reasonable. I'm glad that he went and died. I'm glad that he didn't do what he wanted to do. And for those of you who might think that this is a twisted gospel, read the text. Jesus said, if this cup can pass, you guys talking about, oh yeah, we can. Jesus is like, I will, but I'm just glad that he did it. To secure our souls from endless death. I'm glad that he did it. I'm glad that the organ said, I'll be second. You be first. I'm glad to be serving amongst a group of people that didn't just come to sit and ask for a seat in the kingdom, but you came here to serve. Serve the kingdom. Serve the kingdom. Serve the kingdom. To serve the kingdom. It's all for his glory. I ask that you stand to your feet throughout the house. This entire series is shaped around our puzzle pieces, what you uniquely have been created to do. I'm telling you, I'm not joking, and I'm not just saying this to hopefully inspire somebody, but it's by faith that I believe that people are going to find their unique shape this year. What your spiritual gifts are, what you have a heart and a passion and a burning desire for, what your unique abilities are, before you even knew Jesus. What your personality is, not to be ashamed about it. And what are your unique experiences that God wants to use to serve his kingdom? We're excited this year that we're going to find our shape. You're a piece of the puzzle. We believe if you call City of Light home, we believe that if you partnered with us, that you are a piece of the puzzle here. I don't get to dictate where you fit. Maybe you do. Brother Logan said it's a choice. Maybe you get to choose where you want to serve. I don't. I wanted to be like Mike. I tried. I wasn't going to shave. I keep shaving. I wasn't going to shave. I wasn't going to go that far. And I borrowed this from my daughter. But do you really get to be what you want to be if God has already prepared that seat? Already prepared it. Somewhere different than where you may want to be. I pray that we can go into our lighthouses, our small groups. I pray that we go into this week. If you're in text message with the Parkers, Sister Courtney will make sure that you don't forget what was preached ever. But we want to make sure that we ponder on this question. I invite you into the conversation. It's not for me. It's for his kingdom. It's for his glory. It's for your peace. Series on purpose. Series on purpose.